This is the original session in which Valerie channels. The rest of the videos in this playlist are reactions to this session. Enjoy! Welcome to Spiritual Sauce, the podcast where we talk to spirit and invite you to join the conversation. We are your hosts,
Valerie Medina
and Christine Boschen.
So anyhow, Valerie, I'm happy to provide you an actual written list if you for next week if that helps. But
No,
can...
what I was thinking of when you mentioned earlier that you wanted it to be organic and you were just gonna
flow with it, yeah.
Flow with it. I think that's really cool because one of the things I think that may happen is that we may co-channel.
I think we could do that.
I
mean,
know.
You were already doing that, really, right? You were already co-channeling through the last session because you mentioned to me when I noticed, and I commented last week, how gifted you are in holding space and how appropriately you respond to whatever energy I'm presenting while channeling. When you're doing SEH hosting, holding space, you said, well, my guides are right there with me, helping me do that. They're coming through. And so we already really pretty much were, right? You were just giving me the airtime.
Yeah. So I'm perfectly happy with however this comes out. It would be good though because we're recording and we eventually want to show an audience of some kind or other people who may connect with us, and we want to show them or indicate to them when we are channeling, right? So when you were channeling, how do you, are you going to say, okay, I'm going into channel now, or how are you going to do it?
First of all, I need to apologize. I should have picked a non-gassy water. So I'm like, excuse me. Besides that, I can come in and out of channeling. That tends to actually be my style. So you had brought me into a deeper state of hypnosis, but I'm okay putting on the Christine hat, putting on the channel hat, putting on the Christine hat, putting on the channel hat. Yeah.
Okay.
So do we want to just indicate I'm channeling? I'm going to start channeling now, or I mean, we can
however you want to do it, whatever feels natural to you.
The other way that we can also manage this, Valerie, is in post-production, right?
Right. Yes.
So I figure we can
actually we can do a reaction video and say you can put a thing Christina's channeling.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we can annotate it. That's not hard
to
do at all.
Here their guides are talking to each other.
Yeah. Right.
They've checked out.
Yeah, where are they? When you see all sorts of like stuffed animals and teddy bears arriving to participate, then we'll all know that
we've got company.
Yeah, we got company. Right.
I would like to just open up with a little intention phrase.
Yes, and before we sorry to interrupt you, should we introduce ourselves? Should we start our I mean, we're just chatting. At some point we should say hello and welcome to our community who's joining us online.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello and welcome. I'm Christine and I'm here with Valerie, and we are going to be channeling together. Mostly Valerie, probably, and a little bit of Christine. The topic is ancestors, current, present generation, and future generations. And Valerie, you were about to open us with an intention setting, which I love to do. So please.
Okay. And so we open ourselves to the light. And with this light, we open ourselves to our truth. And with this light, we open ourselves to our soul's purpose. And with this light, we open ourselves to be guided towards our highest good and the highest good of those we love. And I just like to set an intention of the things that will come through today will be for people to hear. And if they're tuning in at any future time, it will be the right time for them to hear what they're supposed to hear. I believe in divine timing.
Me too. Yes. Divine timing, which my guides quite often phrase to me as comedic timing. That's usually the way that they get my attention and describe to me to pay attention to timing.
Okay.
That is such a beautiful invocation. Thank you for the prayerful intention setting for our session tonight.
Thank you. I give credit to let's see, who is it? Oh, her name isn't on here. She's an Akashic Records teacher.
Mm,
And that paragraph just resonates for me. It's a way to open up your Akashic Records. There's an additional phrase,
mm,
but that beginning phrase to me is good for any time you're connecting with spirit.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I really like it. So I started using it recently.
So we'll find her name and put the credits
Yes,
in.
I think her last name is Cole. And yeah, so she's got a, she calls it the Little School of Akashic, the Little Soul School or something like
Mm,
that. Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Because it's really funny to consider that a soul could be little or that the Akashic records could be that's fun. Again, back to comedic timing. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, Miss Valerie, how shall we start this? You want to mention the jar of questions that you pulled this set of questions out of last week?
Yeah, a couple of months ago when we decided we were going to start channeling and start um, asking each other's channels some questions, we came up with, I don't know, 10 or 12 topics. And what I did was I wrote them down on a piece of paper and folded them up. And this was 2 months ago.
Maybe
And
even
I put them
4 or 5 months ago. I don't know. It seems like it might be a lot longer than
was it
that.
October or November?
Was it?
Maybe
Okay, so at any rate, yeah, some time ago.
November at least. Yeah.
Some time ago.
And I put it in this beautiful jar that's shaped like a red, like a Hershey's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
I got it for Christmas. And so I put all the little slips of paper folded up into this Hershey's kiss. And the last time we were together at the end of our last session, I said, well, let's go to the next topic. And I just kind of fooled around in there. And I think I pulled up the one that's right for me to channel and right for you to come up with the questions.
Yes, yes. And I think it's also, we were talking a lot in our last several sessions about karma.
Mm,
And so I think that talking about ancestors and our role of connection with our ancestors and is it progeny? How do we call the generations that come after us? Is
yeah,
it progeny?
progeny.
So our
Hmm.
ancestors and our living relatives and ourselves and our progeny really ties into the question of karma and collective life purpose. So it seems to me to be a nice segue and a continuing of the conversation. So
Yes.
with that, may I invite your guides into the conversation?
Yes.
Wonderful. So Valerie's guides, before we get started with the questions of this evening, are there any of you that would like to come forward and make yourself known in terms of specific beings? Could you tell us more about who you are tonight and whether you are always the same group with Valerie or you maybe have different collectives that come in for different topics?
Well, Valerie has lots of angels. her ancestors, people who've passed who drop in to give some wisdom once in a while. And it's a whole group of us, beings of light, she likes to call us. But we don't really have a name. It's not important because we come together collectively, but she hears us one at a time.
Thank you. Is there more you'd like to say on this?
Each one of us brings to this conversation our experience as incarnated souls. Some of us have been incarnated. Some of us have never been on Earth. And we each bring to this conversation our experience and our love. So whatever comes in will come in as it's meant to.
Thank you so much. You bring me to one of my first questions, which is, can you tell us whether ancestors includes beings that have not had time on planet Earth? Or are ancestors really specifically referring to souls who have traveled on planet Earth and are connected to us in some way?
Can you say the first part of that question again?
So you talked about for Valerie's guides, you are a collection of angels, ancestors, relatives who have passed who popped in to share wisdom every once in a while. And so I'm wondering, in terms of reflecting on the concept of ancestors, are ancestors always going to be coming from the category of beings of light that have been incarnate in the earth plane, have experienced life on earth, and are have experienced life in human form? Are ancestors always going to be in that category?
Well, ancestors is really a human term of art. You know, when we think of ancestors, when humans think of ancestors, they think of all the family members that have come before them, generations and generations, people who've um, come across the ocean and come across the land and migrated into a certain spot, and generations of people who suffered and sacrificed to complete the cycle of life and create more people. Um, I don't know what the question was.
So you are getting at so the question was basically, are ancestors by nature those that have come before us in human form? And you answered by saying that it's a category of art that humans have placed a meaning on. And then you described very beautifully, uh, like painted a palette, painted a picture of human beings moving across ocean, across land, and having generation and upon generation of struggles and life
Okay.
purpose.
Yes, that's the human part.
Hmm.
So now the soul part
Hmm.
is if we are all coming from source, all of us a drop of source, then all beings in the collective are our ancestors and our progeny all
Hmm.
at the same time, because there is no sense of time. So you don't have a before and after, you
Hmm.
have a now, a continuum, a layer upon layer of dimensions, all lives going on at the same time.
Wow.
So your little drop of source right now incarnated on earth has many, many, many souls because we are all part of this collective. We're never alone.
Mm,
So the bigger issue, the bigger picture is that the entire collective are our ancestors, are our progeny.
mm.
Does that sound right?
It does sound right. It
After
sounds
you.
so very right. It's it's affirming to me so much of my own musings on this topic since you pulled the topic out of the jar of magical topics to channel on. And so this concept of we're all each other's ancestors and each other's progeny because life is existence is happening in many different layers all at the same time. This is so beautiful and beyond, I think, our grasp on a human level,
Yeah,
and yet I think we understand it somehow. We understand it. And so if we have in our human timeline as we walk this earth, this concept of before, current, and after, so the passage of time. Can you tell us more about how we might be in relationship with our ancestors and our progeny across these timelines? Is there, is there,
absolutely.
yeah?
Absolutely. So, you know how we're doing this work? We're doing this soul work, right?
Mm,
We are increasing our understanding and we are sending love and light out to all those in our life, in our lives, that we're definitely doing healing work
mm,
and looking at our own lives differently, looking at all the possibilities and seeing ourselves less as victims and more like actual protagonists in our stories.
mm,
So, planners, people, we plan this lifetime, we plan these lessons to learn.
mm,
So when you come into your understanding, into your light, as we are all, as we do this type of work,
mm,
and then we try to heal others. We
mm,
we simply can heal others by walking into a room and letting others feel your light.
mm,
But
mhm,
that light that you are learning, this way of being, of loving, of being a new soul, of a new understanding, it affects your lifetime now, but it goes, if you want to say back, if you want
mm,
to use a human term, it
mhm,
goes back to past lives. Let's
mhm,
look at it that way. It goes
mhm,
back to past lives. And the suffering that may have occurred in past lives transmutes and changes.
mm,
So because you're healing here on this dimension, you have the power to heal backward and forward
mm,
into other lifetimes. So because these lifetimes are existing in just other dimensions
mm,
and there is no timeline there, you have the ability to transform and transmute the fear and the pain lived in other lifetimes. And there is a way to change that past lifetime so you're not experiencing the suffering or you're not making choices that cause suffering
So you can change your
because
choices then, you're saying.
exactly because you know better, because you've done this healing work here in this lifetime. So it just goes out and it goes out to the collective.
Mm,
Like I said, when you walk into a room and you've done this healing work, you walk into the room with light and love, and people can feel that energy.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
just by sitting in a room and sending out love, you have the ability to heal the collective. And as you know, as many people are talking about, the collective is changing and healing, transmuting fear into love. So, and that's happening over the next 30 years.
Mm. 30 years
So
specifically? Can you tell us more about that?
I'm getting 25.
25, okay. The next
Yes,
25 years. So we're at 2024 right now. So between
right.
now and like 2049 or so?
Yes, yes. We're going to be experiencing big changes. But remember that as you do your healing work, those people that are doing their healing work raise their vibration. And if you have your neighbor or even the person that you live with who isn't doing that healing work,
Mhm.
there is a difference between the two. So if that person is still living in fear and judgment and negativity, they're living a different reality than someone who is doing healing work. Um, Let me think of another way to put it.
And it seems there's space for all. There's space for
Yeah, yes. And so, and there is no, it's not that the person who's not doing the healing work is less than. Their journey is to experience that which they had planned to do.
mm, hmm
Your journey, as you've planned it, is to be a healer.
hmm
So your vibration is changing and you're living and you're creating a different reality. Different realities are in different spaces. It's not like they can still exist in the same home,
mm.
but their reality, how they interpret things, is going to be different.
Interesting. So that's we're talking about ancestors, we're talking about progeny, and now I'm hearing you speak to the experience of family members, community members, neighbors in the here and now, so to speak. So
Mm-hmm.
not on not on one side of the veil versus the other, but in the here and now space,
Right,
incarnate together.
right.
And
All creating their own reality. Well, you've heard of someone who lives in fear. So you say you have, let's just call a person who lives in fear, who doesn't like um, people of color, who exists in a world where within their community they feel comfort, but outside of their community they feel fear of the outsider, of the other, of the person who is of a different um, gender,
mm,
or of a different sexual orientation,
mhm,
or of a different color,
mm,
nationality, creed, whatever. So you've got this person who is afraid of the other.
mm,
So their reality is created in a different way. And it's very low vibrational. And their experiences are not always of love. So
mm.
they tend to be looking for that love outside of themselves. And they're not experiencing the same thing as someone who is opened up to all the possibilities of love.
Hmm. And I
who
think,
invites in uh, ways of loving people, ways of helping people, ways of sharing. Because every time you share with someone, you're sharing a piece of yourself and your experience, right? So,
and also of your resources, right? So when you're
yes,
talking about sharing, it's also about, do I have food to share? Do I have clothing to share? Do I have education to share? Different ways that we can support others outside of our own home or our own community, or to expand what we are calling our community to have a broader definition of that. But you're talking about sharing of experiences, opening our heart up to share of experiences.
yes. Because
And
there's so much, there, I'll give you an example. Today, Valerie was listening to a woman who shared her lifetime of sexual trauma starting at age 5.
mm,
And that experience is one that is relatable in some ways and foreign in some ways to Valerie. But there was this by this woman sharing her experience, it opened up compassion and love in Valerie's heart
mm,
towards that experience. So anytime you're sharing with another person, you can you're opening yourself up to love, but you might be opening yourself up to judgment.
mhm.
So that would be an example of the other person who is afraid of um, the other, who evaluates every person outside of themselves as other. That's a person who doesn't see themselves in the other person, doesn't see their own humanity in the other person,
Mhm,
doesn't have the ability to see the humanity,
mhm.
um, and judges that person for everything they do, all the decisions that they make. So, you're talking about very different realities when you look at something with love versus looking at something with fear. You've got so that's what I mean. You can live in the same household and have two different reality experiences.
Since you're mentioning household, Valerie, Valerie's guides actually is who I mean to be asking this question of. Are there people listening who need to have some um, affirmation of this truth and also maybe some support and guidance on how to navigate that experience? Are you speaking to some people specifically who may be tuning into this recording and might need to hear further concepts for support?
Yes, when we talk through people like Valerie, channelers, we'll call them,
Mm,
we always speak to the highest good. We always give information that's going to touch each person's heart in the way that it's supposed to. Some of this information may not resonate with everyone that's listening, and some of it will. So it's however you take the information in,
mhm,
make use of it, however you will. Listen to the video again in 3 months or 4 months time, and you will then get more information. It's building blocks.
mm.
It's layer upon layer of information and connection and love. We hope that every time you feel this, you feel love from us because we love you.
Thank you. I feel that. I do feel that. Thank you. This wisdom that you're bringing in terms of seeing that there are different realities and it has to do with how people see through fear or love. Can you talk about the transformative threshold that we go through as souls when we move out of that space of fear and into the space of love? Are there are there steps that are universal, or is it different for each of us?
Can you repeat your question in a way that Valerie will understand it?
Okay, sure. I'll try it again. Um, I'm just reflecting on my own life and my own transformation. And of course, I think this is a continual transformation, although some of it happened in bigger chunks than others. Transforming out of a space of seeing the world through fear and judgment into seeing the world through love and heart-based curiosity and connection. And so when you're describing Valerie's guides, when you're describing a household where there may be members of the household who are approaching life and others with love, and members of the household that may be approaching through the perspective of fear, is there an awakening process that we go through as human beings to move out of that space of fear and into the space of love? And can you talk to us about that process, please?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Of
sure.
course. Oh, sure. This is a big one. This is a
Okay.
big one because we are born into families that give us opportunities to grow in ways we did not, to grow out of discomfort.
So discomfort is a necessary ingredient, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly, exactly. The whole point is, the whole point of being challenged. Okay, so when we're on the other side and we choose to incarnate in a lifetime, we set ourselves up with several goals and
Mm,
accomplishments that we want, things we want to accomplish. We want to experience compassion. We want to transmute fear into self-love. We want to experience a lifetime of where we are ill and want to experience the love of complete love of others.
mm.
So, I mean, there's so many ways to experience life, and our souls incarnate into families, as a matter of fact, in order to give us those challenges that we need.
So families aren't always supposed to be cozy.
No, not at all. They're not supposed to be. Parents are not supposed to be.
Parental?
Exactly. Well, there's many ways to say it.
Yeah.
Loving, showing affection. They're not always supposed to be safe. They're not always supposed to be all the things that we're told as human beings that parents need to be.
Parents need to be that they are, right? By definition, right? We have these
Well,
standards.
they're human beings, and they decided to incarnate into this lifetime with us to provide us with the opportunities for our souls to grow. They're
Mm,
on their own journey too.
hmm
And so they are coming into the lifetime with a set of goals too.
hmm
And some of the goals are to challenge us.
hmm
So if we want to explain Valerie's lifetime, that had two very immature parents who
hmm
were very selfish
hmm
in their own way. But they were doing the best they could.
hmm
But if you're looking at it from the soul's point of view, they were that way so that Valerie could go inward, so
And
that
grow.
Valerie could learn to provide herself with love,
Mm,
so she could
right,
experience self love. Now,
right.
it took a long time to understand and look back at that experience where her parents didn't always provide safety, didn't always, one parent was physically abusive, both parents were emotionally abusive. So those opportunities, those were golden opportunities for
Mm,
Valerie. And for many years, Valerie experienced victimhood,
mm,
and she attracted the energy of partners who also contributed to, as she looked for love on the outside,
mm-hmm,
in others, in friends and partners,
mm-hmm.
she found people who were insufficient, who who were immature, who weren't ready for love. They were not the right partners for Valerie.
But maybe
So
the right partners for continuing that life lesson opportunity,
exactly,
right?
exactly. They were put in that lifetime later on so that Valerie could continue the work of turning inward and starting to little by little practice self-love. And it's taken an entire lifetime to come back to that. And it's been only within the last 5 years or 6 years that the lessons are looked back on and the patterns are there, and Valerie can then put her lifetime in order and go, oh, that was there for my benefit, and that was there
Mm,
for my benefit. So the
mm-hmm,
victimhood of it goes away, and the gratitude comes in,
mm.
because the lifetime is full and rich of this beautiful experience that now she can go, she doesn't need to look for love in all those other places, like your song.
Like the song, I was just gonna say, looking for love
Yeah,
in all the wrong places.
exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
too many faces. So, this is universal, really. This experience that you are
Yes.
chronicling in Valerie's own storyline. So every single one of us has our unique, sacred story, life story,
Yes.
which which has which we all start out as kids. We all start out as infants and children and grow into, if we're fortunate enough to become adults, that is the trajectory. So there's always going to be this pathway of being young and being in the care of others to being older and self-sufficient, although of course that's not everyone's storyline. But so what you're describing could be a very familiar, recognizable storyline, although everyone will have their unique story.
Right.
And and that's on purpose and divinely decided upon and intricately set up for all of us to play roles in each other's lives, right? And
Exactly.
the
Exactly. Over and
time
over again
over
in
and
each
over again.
lifetime. So my mother may was in my lifetime, and she may come in as my daughter in another lifetime, or my best friend,
Right,
or my uncle, or even my dog.
right.
You don't know for what purpose. uh Unfortunately, we don't have the knowledge or hindsight exactly why, unless you get past life regression. um
So we might have
you
some
could,
awareness. And
yeah, yeah, you might have an awareness. You might have dreams
yeah.
that are important, that kind of define that or give you clarity on that. And you when you work on your intuition, when you work on trusting yourself, gosh. So the lifetime is built up with all these foundational lessons, right? So, but it is also in order to learn to trust yourself, to listen to yourself,
Mm.
to to establish a connection with the other side if you want it, to get you can access the wisdom that's there. You can love in a different way. It's all about love. There are only really two emotions that everything stems from: love and fear.
Mm.
So what you have in a lifetime is is just a road to travel, and you pick and choose your experiences. You make your decisions. There's no right or wrong decisions, because every single decision provides you with an opportunity to have a lesson, to learn from that. Now, if I kept choosing, if Valerie keeps choosing um, to learn that lesson over and over again, she'll continue to make those decisions to pull in that energy of looking for love on the outside of her rather than within her own heart.
And yet, love is that which binds us, correct? So there's something very subtle here to be explained, right? Because there is still love on the outside, but it's the same love that's on the inside, right? If it's am I understanding? I mean, we do have connections to each other. We are all part of the same love. And so can you talk a little bit more about what is the difference between looking or finding that wellspring of love inside, that never-ending wellspring of love inside versus seeking validation? Is it what's the difference between looking for love outside externally versus looking for love internally?
Well, seeking validation is really a superficial, um, you know, you're dependent on others' view of you. And
Mm.
why do that to yourself when everything you need is within you? So why look to others to validate you, to make you feel seen, when you are enough? Everything you need, you have. So giving love is is I mean, if I heard you right, you're talking about the difference between giving love to the collective and giving love to yourself. There's no difference.
Right, there's no
Anytime,
difference.
right? Because anytime you do something for yourself, you give love to yourself, you're giving love to all, because we are all. So
And
anytime you do a kindness to another human being, you're doing a kindness to yourself.
and yes. So to go back to the difference between Valerie's experience in looking for love externally versus looking for love internally or finding love internally, being love internally, there's still those other people on the other side of those equations or those relationships or those lessons that are a part of the collective universal love. So can you tell us a little bit more? Can you help us understand the difference between, is it like a codependency or um am I asking this question clearly? Should I
Well,
rephrase?
when you first started talking, I imagined this pulsing heart, and it
Mm.
grows bigger and bigger as you create an understanding of yourself as a divine being and as a drop of source. Or like I like to say, like we like to say, we are all God.
Mm.
We are, because we are all of source, right?
Mm.
We all are infinite. We don't die. We're infinite beings, and we all have the ability, the power to create our own reality. We we come into this world to experience the hard, the dense, the drama,
Mm,
because that's exciting. Because when we're on the other side, what we think we have,
mm,
it's all we have to do is think of something and we have it. We're all energy on the other side. So we can experience anything on the other side. But
mm.
here, it's harder to move energy here. So
And so
when
we
I
actually
think of,
want that.
yes, we want that experience because number one, we are of service to humankind by experiencing a lifetime. We are moving within the collective. We are moving energy, creating love throughout your lifetime,
Mm,
or not. But what I was thinking of when you were talking is this pulsating um energy force field kind of thing that just
mm,
grows and grows and grows, and
mm,
then you inform the collective, you heal the collective, you add to it, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. More people understand, more people come to understand.
mm,
As my guides like to say, we visit each and every one of you,
mm.
and in your dreams we help you understand how important you are. It's your ego that messes you up. It's your ego and that little voice inside you that you keep feeding that messes with your ability to love yourself and love others.
Mm.
That fear that keeps coming up, and that feeds that little voice that tells you you're not enough. So you always have to make your way back to love, and you always have to make your way back to the understanding that you are us and we are you. We are no better than you, and you are no better than us. But together we work as a team. Together, our collective energy makes miracles,
Mm.
makes lots of love. And that's what we need. That energy when you walk into a room and you notice someone who's done some healing work, and you're attracted to them because there's something they have. There's some knowing that they have. And what is it? It's that they love out loud.
They exude light, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And if you see someone, if you notice the opposite, someone who complains a lot, who thinks that everyone is out to get them and life is really hard. Yes, life is hard. But the whole point is to transmute the hardness, transmute the difficulty into love, and have gratitude for the experiences. I, I think I think what the guides keep telling me as a channel over and over again is that all negativity that you have, that you experience in life, is there, put there by you in order to learn.
Mm,
So And it's always to come back to love. So how do you get to love? You get to love through gratitude. Because even the hard spots in life, if you have gratitude for them, you go, oh, okay, that was for my greater good.
Mm, mm,
That I learned a lesson, and I learned that when I'm down, 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 I know that eventually I'm going to go back up because that's how life is.
mhm.
Yeah, that's a guarantee, like taxes,
Like taxes. It is March, almost April.
like
Yes,
taxes,
like
death
taxes.
and taxes. Yes,
Taxes. Well, taxes are an interesting segue or connection here because we're talking about a tithing to the collective. When we pay our taxes, we are putting our contribution into the collective pot of money that is then redistributed and in the best case scenario shared abundance with everyone around us, right? To our collective betterment is the concept of taxes.
we hope.
Yes.
I mean, the problem is that those in power make the decision where that money goes, where the pot goes,
Mm,
and it doesn't always go to the people that need it,
right. It often doesn't go to the people that need it.
right?
And
Which is our lesson to learn, which is
that's
our understanding. So now what do we do then? We have people who are in need. So it's up to the rest of us
mm,
to, outside of paying taxes. Okay, well, we've paid our government and they're going to spend the taxes on whatever, on war, on
mm, mm,
on objects of war.
mm,
So, well, we still have these people on the street that we need to help.
mhm, mhm.
So, how can we do that? How can we get creative with resources and helping others? How can we share our light? Sometimes it's not just about giving a homeless person $1.
Right,
Sometimes it's saying hello, how are you this morning?
right.
Seeing them as a human being, or maybe giving them $1 and saying hello, and how are you today? Um, there's lots of ways to help people who are in need. The important part is to always see their humanity because you are them and they are you.
Mm, mhm. Thank you. Would you like to come out of channeling space for a moment, Valerie?
I've been coming in and out. It's been hard to stay in.
Well, I mean, I see you weaving, and yet I feel like you really have been in the whole time. It's just like there's a there's a give and take in channeling, right? Where you're not
Yeah,
going
yeah.
away.
I
You're
yeah,
not
I'm not.
totally exited from the conversation. And so sometimes it's like the voice of Valerie becomes a little bit stronger and we hear a little bit more of Valerie and then sometimes the guides. And to me that's I experience that too. I definitely have that same kind of weaving when channeling.
for for me it was hard um because your questions weren't straightforward. They weren't
Mm.
they were like this.
So
And I
actually a
had to
more
follow
direct,
you. Yeah,
right?
well, I had to follow you around where you were going because what happens is my guides, you start that. I think that's why I need straight questions
Okay.
because
Yeah.
you start asking the first part of the question, and my guides are bugging
Already
me to
answering.
answer, and
Mm,
then you went somewhere else with it, or
right.
you
Okay.
you added to it, and then I
Hmm.
went, wait, and then Valerie,
Hmm.
that's what and then Valerie kind of,
Comes
this is
in.
an interesting experience, yes, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Valerie kind of kicked in and went,
Yeah.
it's even weird just saying my name, Valerie.
Well, you watched me channel too, and I'll talk about Christine's experience or right. That's I
Yeah,
think, and I've seen other
that's
channels do
kind of
that
weird.
too. Yeah, like Esther Hicks, when she's channeling Abraham, she often
Uh-huh.
says, and Esther this and Esther that, and you're like, but aren't you Esther? But no, that's how that works. It is how that
No,
works.
yeah, yeah. No, it's when they're, yeah. I don't remember what I have no idea. I don't remember what we just talked about. How long was I in? 20
Um,
minutes?
probably. I haven't been keeping time, but I think about that. Yeah, about 20
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember any answers. Well,
that's the beauty of recording. That's the beauty of recording. It seemed to me like we got a lot out, and I wanted to just let you come up for air, so to speak, and see if we wanted to keep going. And also, you've given me some good feedback in terms of a space holder for you of taking a moment to simplify the questions I'm asking so that we give them a chance to answer rather than asking kind of compound questions.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And, a part of me felt like I kept coming out to like hear the question again.
Hmm.
Okay, so but a part of me is thinking, well, if they're there, then why aren't they getting the question? Why aren't they getting the question? Why
Hmm.
am why is it important that I understand the question if they're here and they're hearing the question? Do you understand what
Because
I'm saying?
I think I I can give a guess to an answer. You can tell me whether it sounds or feels somewhere in the right universe because you're you have free will as a channel to participate and you're not giving over full control to other beings,
True,
even though
true.
they're your beings of light and they're your team. You get to decide as channel what you can channel on, what you can't, or what, right? It's like you're a participant in the process. You don't go away.
So how does trans channeling work?
I've never
Does
heard
the
of that.
person go trans channeling is when an
Oh,
entity
trance. Oh, right. Yeah.
trans, uh-huh,
Yeah.
does trance,
Trance. Yeah.
yeah, not trans. But that's funny. But there, you could go all over with that.
You-
But channeling, yeah. So that's when an entity comes,
Right.
like the Seth
Right.
recordings, right? Or
Right.
people do the Pleiadians,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Hmm.
because they've asked, okay, who is this? See,
Hmm.
I have just started now asking, and I got the number 88,
Hmm.
and beings of light.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's all I got. So I'm
I guess
sorry.
I can't answer that question because I don't do trance channeling myself.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
do it that, and I noticed when I started practicing channeling, so I think I've channeled my whole life, right? But when I
Hmm.
started the practice of it was practicing. I
When
was
you're
learning,
cognizant of it,
well, I
right?
was studying when I was actually studying. So
Oh, okay.
like 15 years ago or so, 10, 15 years ago, I was studying with Oren and Daben, who are
Oh, okay.
the guides of Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer. They have a wonderful online training series, and I was following their teaching. So it was listening to their guided meditations and also reading their book and doing the exercises. So
Oh, okay.
they recommend a process. Anyone out there who's listening and wants to learn how to channel, this is a wonderful, safe, high vibrational, in support of the greatest good for all resource. I highly recommend them. And they have a process, and part of it includes asking the guide their name. And so
Okay.
early on, I had guides who would give me their name, whether they were an individual or a collective, I would get a name from them. And then in more recent years, I haven't been getting names as much. It seems less relevant. I think since there's the connection to spirit and to the realms of light, it has been less important to specifically indicate who's coming through. However, that's different in my experience from mediumship or medium work where I may be providing a vehicle um, for a family member, a friend who has passed, who's still closer to the earth plane. Not,
Hmm.
and I think we do have each of us has all of the layers of beingness all the way up to the ascended divine. And so it's not to say that we can't reach to that same entity at a higher, so to speak, higher level, but it's more about connecting on a more relatable, recognizable level. And then in those cases, I always get a name. A, f-
Oh,
a funny
well,
example was my own grandfather, who was in this lifetime a very stern, Germanic, very very proper, had a really strong sense of manners, and I was channeling him from the toilet because you know how that is. That's like nice, quiet, private time that you can
yes,
have. And
yes.
he was so mad at me. He was like, "This is so inappropriate. How dare you talk to me from the toilet? This is really like just like he was upset." So then I had to ask him, "Grandpa, can I talk to a higher level of your soul, please? Because you know,
Exactly. I was gonna say that, they always come in with their little personality quirks that they had as human beings,
yeah.
but they really are all love. And that's just so that we recognize them.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
so
Yeah.
that's just so that we know who we're talking to.
Yeah, and so he did chill. He did chill after that. He wasn't so upset about when and how or where I was connecting with him. But
Yeah, yeah, because the soul doesn't care. It's all love and light. I
yeah,
always connect with people in the shower.
why not? Warm
Yeah, yeah, it's
water,
the warm
quiet
waters.
time.
Yeah, it's the negative ions, I think,
Yeah,
too. It's
yeah.
an atmosphere of that makes you feel relaxed,
Hmm.
opens up your breathing, you know.
And
So
water
yeah,
is so connecting and
conductive.
important. It's
Yes,
it's it's it is the element of life that recycles and recycles and recycles through all of us. And so I could see how that would help with the connection. So back to just the point of do they tell us who they are and does that matter? It can matter, but it doesn't always matter. It's
right.
more the feeling that comes with it, right? Where you know that you are connected to love and wisdom.
Yes, and don't forget it. That's a thing. We're born and into separateness, and we spend our entire life trying to get back to the collective, get back
A-
to source.
and the collective is providing us all these interesting ways to journey through that experience.
And the thing about it is, human beings, not every human being understands that or knows that. They know there's something, but they don't always know what it is. Um, and then they maybe start practicing connecting with their intuition. They know
Hmm.
that when they follow their intuition, they're happier.
Mm,
And then they
mhm,
maybe start in, putting in meditation practices, and,
mhm.
it just kind of grows from there. Everybody's on their own journey towards this, but then there's the other lower vibrational people who are there for a reason too.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're there for us to learn from. That
And can,
their gift, their gift to us is staying in lower vibration.
right, right. And we are
No,
as souls, we go through we go through all those experiences, don't we? Like
yes, we do.
we have
Even
lifetimes
with
where we're
even within the present lifetime that we live,
right.
there's different times in our life where we were. Oh, I was horrible
Well, see, that was the question I was
as a
asking
young
you in your
woman.
guides. That was the question I was asking you. So
Oh,
you
you
were
were?
channeling, yeah, yeah. So now that you're not channeling, I'm gonna explain to
Uh-huh.
you the question again, and then maybe we can bring your
Okay.
guides back in to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So you were channeling that there could be a household with one person or group of people that are heart-based and are experiencing community and other beings through the heart and through love. And they could be under the same roof in the same household in the same family, or maybe a neighbor right next door with somebody who is fear-based and judgmental and
Hmm.
closed. And so I was listening to your guides and I was reflecting like, oh, but my own life trajectory, right? I started out fearful. And then I would call an awakening, and it may have been gradual, but there was certainly a moment in time that felt like a lot happened, a lot got shook up and changed.
Hmm.
And so my question to the guides was, can you tell us about that transformation?
That's the whole point of life.
Hmm,
That is the point, because we start the whole thing is when we're born into the lifetime, we are somewhat connected with the other side, but until we're about 7 years old, we have the access.
hmm,
The veil is lighter, and you have the ability to connect as
hmm,
children. That's why children have imaginary friends, and they sometimes speak to themselves. They're speaking to other people.
hmm,
Sometimes they're speaking to people who've passed away. Sometimes they're speaking to, they're living out remembrances and memories of past lives.
hmm,
But, you know, and then we spend our life overcoming, you know, our experiences, and our experiences as children teach us a lot. We're born into a family that doesn't always accept us or see us or appreciate us or love us.
hmm,
um and we have to overcome that and spend our lifetime. And by the time you get into your 50s or 60s, and there's a lot less years on the other side that you're coming up on,
hmm,
you've got a lot more years behind you, and you've got a few years in front of you. You start to see the futility of fear,
hmm,
because you've lived enough life to know that you've been down a few times and you've been up a few times, and you know that's how life is. It's up and down. um the older you get, you seem to understand there's a wisdom that's gained, and that's the whole point of growing old,
hmm,
right? It's the whole point of self-reflection. And then you get to a point to where you go, well, some people get angry, and they say, I'm not going to put up with any shit anymore. And some people say, I'm not going to put up with any shit anymore, but I'm also not going to put up with any more of my own shit, which
Mm,
is the self-talk, the beating ourselves up, the listening to that voice in your head, or that voice that comes from your past that told you weren't good enough. You
mhm,
stop listening to that because you realize it's not true. You realize that you're a mixed bag of human, you know, that yeah, you used to be mean and selfish and judgmental of others. And now, and then you go through changes and your heart opens up.
mm.
You learn to meditate.
You learn to meditate, you go through changes, and your heart opens up. So,
Yeah.
bringing that in full circle to we're going to be changing a lot over the next 25 years. Is that there's going to be more people having that awakening?
Yes. Yes. All this work, there's so much going on. And you don't even have to be doing like what you and I are doing. You don't even have to do it in public. You can be in your little corner of the world just meditating for 15 minutes every morning,
Mm,
and you are adding your little bit of energy to the collective because you're going to work, or you're going about your life after these 15 minutes of meditation, and you're calmer, and
mm,
you're more patient, and
mm,
you're more loving.
mhm.
Just that little 15 minutes a day can have powerful effects and create energy and light. And that contributes to the collective.
So
We
thank you, all of
don't,
you.
yes, don't
Thank you.
forget you are divine. You have this power that you don't know how powerful you are, how beautiful you are, how divine you are. And that's the whole point of life, is to discover that
Mm.
so that
Wow.
you can help the rest of humanity contribute to that big, giant, beautiful, they're telling me, melange? Melange?
Melange. Yeah. Hmm. You have French guides.
I don't even know what that means.
It's like a
Um,
it's like a giant mashup of humanity.
wow. Wow. I wonder if that it. Well, okay.
What
I'm
are they telling you? They're telling you
Saint
something
Germain.
funny. What's that?
It's
It's
Saint
Saint
Germain.
it's Saint Germain.
Yeah.
Well, of course it
Yeah.
is, right? The saint of transmutation,
Yes.
the violet flame.
Yes. The violet flame that transmutes fear into love.
Hmm. Hmm. Allowing your heart to open up into insight brings wonders.
Yes.
Uh,
Wonders and wisdom and love for all.
Can you feel your heart expanding in this very moment?
Yes.
Can you allow for insights to flow and follow and not worry about all those around you and whether or not they are hearing and picking up on the same threads at the same time?
Yes, because it's all meant for those who hear now, can hear later. It's all to experience at different times, at different levels, in different ways. We all come to our understanding in our own way, in our own beautiful way. There is no right and wrong, only experiences. Only love to be had.
Following your heart song like a beautiful light,
Hmm.
letting your soul meander along the banks of the river, under the sunlight, under the moonlight, under the sparkling stars, wherever you are is where you need to be in this instance.
You're so poetic.
It's my
That's
guides.
beautiful. Please
They were like, we have a few things to add here. Not a lot.
do.
Valerie's guides have covered it mostly, but of course, covered it completely. But we wanted to sing along. We wanted to
Yes.
play.
Yes.
They were actually showing me that there is an opportunity to make music together in the channeling. They were showing me the cadence and rhythm of your voice and channeling and how I could, not that I did, but how I could layer on top of that in a musical way. And that that is part of the joy and interplay of the co-creation. It is music. It is heavenly music,
Wow.
earthly music, heavenly music. There's something that happens in the co-creation.
And when you were saying it was a poem, it felt like a poem to me. I
Yeah.
was in I was in that little stream, that little river
Yeah.
going uh bouncing off one bank and then down onto the other, and that I was getting this real strong visual vibration of being in that water. It was
Wow.
interesting
Cool.
as you were talking, very
Sinuous.
simultaneous.
It was sinuous. Remember that one?
Yes, sinuous. It's from a past show.
Yeah, right. You want to know the inside joke, you got to listen to our
Right.
previous
You gotta listen
episode.
to sinuosity.
Look it up. And when you're done looking that up, you can look up melange.
Thank you, Saint Germain.
Yes. Thank you. Hmm.
He tells me he wants to come in stronger.
With you.
I yes, I yes, I had gotten the ideas and the inkling, the nudge from him to work with him. Um, and so I hope to do that. He says I can already. I just don't have the confidence.
I ask him a question or two.
Yeah, let's do it.
First question, is it okay if I call you Saint Germain? Should I be correcting my pronunciation to really call on your energy better?
He's, of course you can call me anything you want.
Okay. Saint Germain, Saint Germain. Can you
Violet flame.
Violet Flame, can you tell us how you and Valerie are meant to work together? Can you tell us about that?
I'm Merc I I work with many people, and she's another channel who has love to share, and I can come in and speak through her and give lessons like I have with other channelers. As long as her ego doesn't get in the way, stop her from experiencing all that we could experience together.
Do you have First of all, let me say thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your teachings, for your lessons, for your love, for your support, for your power, for your blessings, for your pathway of transmutation. Thank you for all of that.
You are welcome. You are loved.
Thank you. Saint-Germaine, do you have practical advice to Valerie and all the rest of us who are listening and have similar struggles with our egos? Do you have practical advice for healing and transmuting the ego voices?
Ah, yes, the ego is the little voice. Whenever you experience that little voice inside your head that tells you you are less than, you are not good enough, what if, but, all those sentences that start in your head that way, that's the time to say, no, I'm not going to listen to that. No, that's not true. That's my ego. Ah, that's my ego kicking in. That's what Valerie likes to say. Turn it away. Turn the volume down. And
If that,
replace that. If you want, if you would like, use my violet flame.
mm,
Take that sentence, take those words, and imagine the violet flame of love surrounding those words, surrounding your heart, surrounding your body. Do meditations with the violet flame. You can transmute all fear because that's what ego is. It's just fear. It's fear in voice or fear incarnate as it shows up in your life to wreak havoc, to make you feel less than, to make you feel doubtful about yourself. But the violet flame, you can use that to transmute that fear into love. You can use the violet flame for anything, for clearing, for cleaning. It's it's magic. And it's my gift to the world. It's my gift to humankind.
thank you. Such a powerful, absolutely critical aspect of God you are,
Yes.
you provide to us.
And luckily, I know what that little voice is because I've lived a human life. I've lived many human lives. I know how hard it is. I know what you're going through. I know what suffering is. Being a human is hard. But this is the school that we've signed up for.
Sitting in your energy is a very quieting experience. There's a real gravity to it. Like my thoughts are going away and I just want to be calm and quiet and still.
I'm going to send the violet flame out to you now. Let it fill your heart space. Let it fill you up. As it grows and grows, it grows outside of your body and surrounds you like a wall from the tips of your toes all the way up above your head as it envelops you in a complete envelope of love and violet flame. Valerie's having a conversation with me. She thinks I should be going like this. But all I have to do is sit here and send it.
Yeah. And Christine was having a conversation with you too. She was wondering what is she supposed to do, but she just wanted to sit here. That was the answer to her question. She didn't want to interrupt all of those who were participating and receiving in quietude. Thank you, Saint Germain.
You're most welcome and most loved.
Thank you. Do you have more that you want to share through Valerie in this particular moment?
Not at this time. Valerie needs to get used to my energy,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
to be ready to work with it. It's a lot. And
Right. You're what we would call
I,
a heavy hitter, right? Like you're one of the big
yes,
ones.
and she needs to make her body ready for it,
So
for my energy.
there's more
There,
healing and
yes, there's she has to eat differently and she has to move her body. And that's the plan.
well, she must be making progress because here you are.
This is a tease.
This is a tease for Valerie
Yes.
and for us. Thank you. Thank you, Saint
Thank
Germain.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Are you back, Valerie?
Yeah. I did not expect that.
Beautiful and wonderful.
That was heavy.
Well, coming through you, I felt he had a lot of gravity. So, like violet flame, yes, but actual gravity, as in the physical force of
Yeah.
grounding, very
Yes.
grounded,
Grounded.
very
Yes.
grounded.
I felt that too. Well, before we were doing this the last couple of days, I've been thinking that I was going to do this, and I did do a meditation of wanting to be grounded
Hmm.
but open,
Yeah.
open to the universe and all the information that I wanted to come through. But but when he came in, it felt very austere,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that was my ego making much ado about it. It's a big deal for me. Um, I haven't officially, talked to anybody about wanting to channel him
Mm,
or how I didn't know how to do that.
mhm,
I have an appointment in May with
mhm,
another channeler who I was going to talk to about that, who
mhm,
channels Saint-Germaine, and
mhm,
I've already booked my appointment with her. And I know that if you book an appointment with her, you're already called to do it.
That's right.
You're already called to
That's right.
work with him,
Right.
right? So I already know the last few months I've been gearing up towards this, but this is the first time he's come in. I felt him right here.
Mm, mm.
So, um, and that's interesting because, it's that is where I feel men. I feel
Oh,
men
okay.
on my right
Yeah.
and women on my left.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, so that's interesting that so it kind of is validated by what um how I read,
Hmm.
how I read energy.
Hmm.
Um so that's interesting. I'm just talking
Yes.
out loud
No, it's
because it's a new
interesting.
because it's a
And
new experience for me.
he also brought me to his church in Paris.
When?
Well, I mean, in listening to you, it's a place that we've
Oh,
been. It's a place that we actually have visited, and when we were there was a wedding, and we got to attend the wedding of these people that we'd never met. It was great.
oh, that's neat.
Yeah, but he brought me there, and it's a stone church. It's older than some of the other ones in Paris, and it's very grounded as well. And so I was feeling that, feeling the groundedness coming through you, feeling his love. Austerity is just, he wasn't effusive and bubbly, right? I guess the best word that we can find is austere, although that would perhaps sound cold, but he wasn't cold. He was loving and maybe,
Serious.
and also maybe
Yeah.
serious, but also I felt like encouraging you to grow into his energy, to do those things
Yeah.
that you need to do to be a container for him to come through.
Yeah. Well, I just ordered a mini treadmill,
Nice.
and I'm really excited to get started with that. I've already started following and at least logging what I'm eating. And I follow a program where it tells me what are good foods and what are bad foods,
Hmm.
um, that kind of thing. And kind of puts it all together in a day to tell you what you ate and how you did. Gives you a
Hmm.
score,
Hmm.
kind of. So
So you
no food is bad food, but
so you are so he was talking to us about the process mm, of actively managing the ego. And so not only is
oh
there that
yeah.
you have to actively manage the ego, which I didn't ask him while you were channeling, but it was in my mind because I've heard my guides say you plant a garden in your heart and you have to weed that garden. So there are
Mm,
thoughts you have to pull out, right? Like you actually have to remove them. And so he was talking about you tell that thought no, that
y-
voice that tells you you're not good enough, you
yeah.
can't, you tell it no. And then you can actually put it inside of me and my transmuting flame and transmute it. So he gave us two tools, but then he also said, and Valerie needs to up her game physically. Like it's a paraphrasing way, right? You need to continue to take care of your physical vessel. And so I think what we're hearing from the guides and specifically from Saint Germain in this particular instance is it's an active participation process. You don't
Hmm.
get to just skate through life and receive, you actually have to participate and work. And a lot of that has to do with the discipline that you apply to your thoughts, to your practices. to your repetition of meditating and of seeking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, everyone has gifts. We are all born with intuitive gifts. And how we develop them, over a lifetime, whether you want to listen to them or not, you can choose not to. I know that I did not listen to my intuition for a long time. I took the voices as being stress. And
Hmm.
so they went away and
Hmm.
went away
Mm-hmm.
for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is you can choose to live this way, but it's not an easy way. Um, I would say I'm happier
Mm-hmm.
that I follow my intuition, that I meditate every day,
Mm-hmm.
that I look at my life as experiences, and I'm making an observation of my past rather than making myself into a continued victim and oh poor me, which just brings in that energy, right?
Right.
So I'm happier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but it is work
It is work.
to
Right.
to
And the
keep
same,
to hold on to that happiness. It's work.
it's a practice. It's a
Mm-hmm.
workout, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My friend Shredder, who she and I are working on exercise videos or,
Mm-hmm.
physical training videos. She
Yeah.
said she said every day of life is a workout. Like breathing is a workout. Paying
Yeah.
attention to your body is a workout. So paying attention to your spiritual enlightenment, progress, opening, healing is an active participatory process.
And if your lesson is to self-love, like my lesson is, every time, every moment, every practice that you incorporate is towards that end. So, you're constantly thinking, okay, well, that's another way of practicing self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to your
Mm-hmm.
intuition is another way of practicing self-love. Making 15 minutes, setting aside 15 minutes a day, even if it's just 15 minutes, is towards self-love. So there are so many things that, you know, layer upon layer upon layer.
The different choices that we make every single day, the little
Uh-huh.
and the big choices that we make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even um, choosing to see a coworker's anger or the way they respond to something, holding back your judgment, that's a way towards self-love, because
Mm-hmm.
anytime you can feel compassion for another,
Mm-hmm.
that's what the guide said today, something about seeing your own humanity in the other person,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
That's right. That's right. And so,
So,
so it goes both ways, right? So if you have an opportunity to see someone behaving badly and judge them, or see someone behaving badly and say, I recognize feeling that way. I've been like
right,
that before. I can
famous,
see the pain that you're coming from.
yeah. And you don't say it to them.
No,
But
no, it's
you
just
do,
in,
but you do this internal thing of going, oh, okay, I see where she's feeling uncomfortable with fear.
hmm
Okay, I
hmm
can have compassion for her,
hmm
and
hmm
and love, and then we just send out love. Anytime you can do that, makes your anytime you are in love, experiencing love for another, you are experiencing love for yourself. So there you
Aha. So
go.
there you answered the question that I asked 30 minutes ago. Came around.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, this
Well,
has been interesting.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Should I stop the recording? Is this a session?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you. This was good.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here, and we hope you stick around.
Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and react. Suggest other topics and join the conversation.
Yeah.